Alright guys, hopefully a lot of us should have been able to hit account level 25 now, so I want to do a quick guide explaining all of the different stats in this game and also talk about how you can use the newly unlocked potential system to further min-max your stats. Now if we take a look at the stats info section for any character, you can see all of the stats here. Now all the ones on the left hand side should be pretty straightforward, right? Quick attack, just how strong your quick attack is going to be. Power attack is going to be how strong power attack be. Likewise for set, for serve, for receive, for block, and for save, etc. So all of those should be fairly self-explanatory. And then the ones on the right hand side, those may not be so obvious. I'll just quickly go through what they are. Awareness is basically your critical rate, but only for offensive stats. So it's only going to be the critical rate chance for quick attack, power attack, set, and serve. And then on the other hand, you also have reflex, which is basically the critical rate for all of your defense stats. So the critical rate for receive, blocks, and save. And then you have the strength, which is basically the crit damage for quick attack, power attack, set, and serve. So unless your awareness is going to be very high and you actually land a crit, otherwise strength is going to be pretty much not actually going to be utilized. And similarly, you also get spirit, which is like the equivalent of critical damage, but only for defensive stats, so only for receive, block, and save. And then you have the attack technique, which is just a straight up multiplier to all of the 4 stats on the left hand side for attack. And then like our defensive technique, just a straight up multiplier for the 3 defensive stats as well. So that's basically all you need to know about the stats. Okay, now let's take a look at the potential system that we can use to further optimize our characters. So starting off, if we just take a look at a character's potential page, you can see we can equip up to 6 different potentials on them. Now the last slot is only unlocked when your character is 5-star, and then the second last one is only unlocked when your character is 4-star. So you may start off with only 4 slots unlocked, but eventually you will be able to get all 6 unlocked as well. Now then, if we actually take a look at the potential itself, if we just click on one of them, you can see it both offer main stats, a substats, and also a set effect. Now there are 10 different set effects, which I'll talk about in a bit, but the main stats and the substats are also going to be very important. The other thing you also want to take note of when looking at potential is going to be the color of that potential, because there are actually going to be 3 different rarity, I believe, in this game, which is going to go from blue to purple to then gold. And the higher rarity or the better color it is, what's going to offer is, first of all, you're going to have a slightly higher stat, and also you're going to unlock more substat. So if we, for example, take a comparison between this purple one and also this blue one, which are both for blocking, you can see for the raw main stats on this blue one is only plus 45, whereas on the purple one it's actually going to be plus 51. So you can already see a difference at level 0, and once you actually level it up even higher, the stats difference is going to get even larger and larger. So obviously you always want to equip a higher rarity if possible. Now there's no other thing which rarity also controls. It's going to be the number of substats. So if you actually take a look at gold ones, you can have up to 4 substats. Sometimes you may only have 3, but you can have up to 4 as the maximum. And similarly for purple, you can have up to maximum 3. And I'll say for the blue ones, you can have only maximum up to 2. So once again, the higher rarity is going to be better. Now next talk about the set effect. So there are 10 different set effects in this game right now, which can be split into 5 different groups. The first one is going to be the ones which are relating to block stats. So you can see when you actually have it at 4 set. So when you have it at 2 set, the effect is going to be the same. It's always going to increase your block stat by 15%. However, then you're going to get slightly different effect once you actually have 4 sets, and by 4 sets basically means equip 4 with the same picture on, okay? And when you actually have 4 sets, then you're going to get slightly different effect. And this is going to be the first group of 2 potentials. So these are the blocking ones. Then the next one we have will be the ones relating to power attack. Then we have the ones relating to setting. Then we have the ones relating to quick attack. And lastly, we have the ones relating to receive. So obviously, depending on what is the character's strengths or how you actually want to position your character or play your character, you obviously want to choose the stats which are the set effect, which are going to be the most beneficial. And vast majority of the time, you can literally just take a look at the recommended potential here. And out of the 2 sets, you normally just want to pick one which is which you are going to equip all 4 pieces to get all of the effect. And then as for the 2 remaining slot, you just simply equip the 2 set from the other one, just so that you get that kind of raw stats increase. But that's normally going to be the way you equip vast majority of potential on the characters. There may be a few special cases where you need to mix and match a bit, but vast majority of time, just go in with the recommended sets is going to be good enough, okay? Okay, now that we understand how potential work and what's able to offer, let's talk about how do we actually determine whether potential is good or not. Now, the number one thing you always want to look for is obviously going to be the set effect, because this one's fairly standard and it's quite obvious to tell what set you should be going after for each one of your character. However, the other thing you also really want to concentrate on are going to be your main stat and also substat. Now, main stat is actually fixed for certain positions, which I'll talk about in a bit. However, substat is going to be completely random. And that basically means early game, when you don't actually have that many different potentials to choose from, you probably just want to pick the ones with the most optimal main stats, which are suited for your character. However, as you move towards endgame, when you have more resources and more time to farm different combinations of subsets, that is going to be the one which really differentiate between how good a potential is. So that's kind of the way you want to take a look at them. So concentrate on main stats early game, but eventually move towards the substat. Now, I did mention the main stat is going to be fixed for certain slot, and that's going to be slot 1, slot 3, and also slot 5. Slot 2 and slot 4, they are random but within a range, and then slot 6 is a bit more varied, and it can be pretty much anything, I believe. Now, for position 1 or slot 1, the main stat is always going to be determined by your set effect. So if your set is a block set, your main stat is going to be block. If your set effect is power, your main stat is going to be power. If it's quick attack, your main stat is going to be quick attack, okay? This one's pretty standard. For number 3, slot number 3 is always going to be served. Like, no matter what set you pick, it's always going to be served, okay? And then for number 5, it's always going to be received. So no matter what set you pick, it's always going to be received. And then for number 2, slot number 2, it's always going to be something which is attacking related. So it could be a quick attack, it could be a set, it could be a serve, it could be a power attack, it could be any one of those, but it's definitely one of those attacking related stats. And then conversely, on slot 4, it's always going to be a defensive related one. So it can be receive, it can be a save, it can be a block, but it will definitely be one of those ones. And then number 6, this is the one where the main stat can be pretty much anything, and this is where potentially the one position or one slot that you need to farm a bit just to get that optimal stats as well. So basically 1, 3, 5, they are pretty much fixed, so it doesn't really matter what you'll be putting there. The main thing determines whether potential is good or not for those positions, that's actually going to be down to the substat, because the main stats will be the same. However, for slot 2 and 4, you probably want to pick the one which is more suited for your character. So for example, if your character is actually a mid blocker, you probably want to pick a blocking one. For position 4, for example, if your character is actually a mid blocker, you probably want to pick a blocking one. Whereas if your character is more like a liberal, you probably want to pick like a receiving one or a saving one. And similarly for slot 2, if your character is a power attacker, then obviously try to find one which gives power attack rather than quick attack. Or let's say if it's a setter, then try to go for one which is set or serve. So that's basically what you can do. And then, like I said, slot 6, pretty much just, this is another farming one. So basically just try to get lucky and see whether you can actually find one which is of the right set and also the right main stats.